My name's Amanda, and this is my story. I was born in 1994 in a tiny little town in Kentucky. I had to be born on the worst day possible. You see, in January of 1994, a massive blizzard hit. The blizzard was so bad nobody could get anywhere. A lot of people could barely get out of their homes, but me being me chose that day to want out. Eventually, my mom got to the hospital, my dad and my aunt, and my older sister of 3.5 years, or 2.5 years. It's all very confusing, ages and things, don't you agree? Well, as I said, it was already a hard birth, having to get to the hospital in such a blizzard. But I kept my poor mother in labor for, I believe, 48 hours. Now, you'd probably think after such an intense labor that my my mom would get be able to hold her little baby and just have so much joy because it'd be the perfect little bundle of happiness. Well, that kind of happened. You see, after my mom got done holding me and loving on me, she handed me to my mama, which if you don't live in Kentucky or a country area, you probably don't know. Mama means grandmother, or it's just an affectionate term. Now where was I? Oh yes, my mom handed me to my grandmother, and I proceeded to projectile vomit across the room. I know that's gross, but it's the first of many, many, many medical problems that I would go through. After that, we learned that I had an underdeveloped stomach and an underdeveloped esophagus flap, which sounds horrible because it is. Because of that, I later discovered I was also born with acid reflux disease, many stomach issues because of underdeformed stomach, but also many other things were caused from that too, but I'll get to that later. All of my injuries or sicknesses tie together from that very first day, really. Well, after they found out about my deformed stomach and the deformed flap, they put me on a very strict diet. You see, I also had a heart issue. I was born with a heart murmur. It cleared up eventually, the hole closed, but because of that I had to wear a heart monitor. My mom was afraid to put me down in a crib like most babies, so she would hold me on her chest, propped up. She said that way that she could hear and feel me breathing and my heart pumping. It's kind of sad when you think about it. Well, because of the stomach issues, I had to be put on a very strict diet. Like, unlike most babies who get their mother's milk or formula at that early age, I had to have mashed up cereal with a spoonful of water in it. And you're probably wondering why in the world would you give a newborn baby cereal, and I'm not really sure, but this is what I think is what the doctors wanted. The water had to travel through the mashed up cereal, which probably was absorbing the water and keeping only a little bit of water, keeping only a little bit of water going into my mouth at a time. Um, just probably the issue. I couldn't drink a lot of water, just a sip or two every few hours, which you could see why that would be a problem. A baby doesn't drink water, a baby drinks formula and milk. Another thing was, this is probably too much information, but also a major factor. My mom had inverted nipples. She couldn't feed me, and I probably couldn't even hold it down if she could. But one day, my mom was very tired, as most moms would be after having not only a newborn baby, but an incredibly sick newborn baby. and she decided to give me an extra sip of water because I just wouldn't stop crying. I was hungry. And she gave me the sip of water and I choked. I turned blue. My mom freaked out, and my aunt, we affectionately call her Diggy, my sissy, as I also affectionately call her, couldn't pronounce her name, so the nickname Diggy was born. Well, Diggy rushed over. The poor thing had broken her arm prior to my birth, trying to get off her porch and sliding and falling. She rushed over in the snow, boots and clothes hardly on, and she performed CPR on me. Eventually, we got to the hospital. It was almost too late, really. I like to tell people that I died. It's just a fun little thing to see their shocked face. I mean, most people don't imagine somebody to be like, oh, I died one time, but I'm here again. I don't remember it, obviously. I was a newborn. But I probably didn't even actually die. I probably just stopped breathing, or maybe my heart almost stopped. I'm not sure. But because of that, my mom calls me her little miracle baby. Well, after that fiasco, it was discovered I had a breathing issue on top of everything else. I had a very odd disease that I would stop breathing until I felt a sudden jolt. That caused me to have really bad asthma later on in my life, and I still do. Well, fast forward a few years, maybe it was just one, maybe 1.5. Um, you can imagine because of all this, I didn't have the best immune system. Well, I was also, and am also, a very clumsy person. About 1.5 years old, I believe, I developed a disease called thrush. If you don't know what thrush disease is, basically it's when somebody gets, usually toddlers and babies, I believe, they get white bumps all around their mouth and most of the time inside their mouth. Well, me being me, I had to get the disease 20 times worse than a normal person. I did get the white bumps, but instead of just going inside my mouth, they went all the way through me and out the other side. My mom said it was so bad that chunks of my flesh were falling off and I couldn't wear a diaper. Because of that little issue, I now get really bad fever blisters with even the tiniest fever or stress. And you're probably thinking a fever blister is nothing, it's just a tiny little bump. The biggest fever blister I've got, it's a tie between two. I had one fever blister so big, my lip swelled twice its size and went past my nose almost. Well, at least my nostrils. The second one, I had 6 fever blisters at one time, and my mouth looked so bad, my boss wouldn't let me work for a week. Not a week, 3 weeks. It's one of the worst things that have come out of my health issues. Well, obviously I survived that issue. I heard later in life, I'm not sure how my mom and dad cured it, I'm supposing it was just the grace of God, but I heard later in life that the only cure known, at least to older people, is you have to get the 7th son of a 7th son to blow air in the baby's mouth. Maybe that's what my mom and dad did, I'll never know. Fast forward one more year or half a year, and I'm 2 years old. This is when the clumsiness started to happen. You see, my Mama and Papa Moore, another set of Mama and Papa than the previous one I told you about who held me in the hospital, they had an old-fashioned wood stove in their second living room. We call it a second living room. Basically, it's just a really, really big and long hallway. Well, I burnt my leg really badly on the burner, and not long after, I was also a curious child and decided I wanted to walk on my mammal's treadmill and turned it full blast and was thrown against the wall and my leg got caught under it, and I broke my leg in two places. It's kind of a funny story because this was before I started breaking things and my mom didn't think I actually broke it, so she started pulling on my leg, saying it just needed to be put back in place. My mama got very mad at her and took me to the hospital on her own. Which is kind of funny because my mama never got her license. So I don't know what really happened, but all I can imagine is my mama just grabbing me and walking all the way to the hospital. But most likely she got somebody to drive her. Well, fast forward one more year. I know it's not very long breaks in between, and it's really not gonna get better from here. Well, fast forward one more year, and I'm 3 years old. And, well, once again I burnt myself pretty badly on the exact same stove burner. I was running through my mammal's house and I tripped, and what better way to catch yourself than to just throw your hands out in front of you? And I burnt the skin off both my hands. I don't remember it, but I'm sure that hurt really badly. I also had really bad health, as I stated, and every single Christmas when I was younger was pretty much. It was fun. It was Christmas, but it was also pretty much misery. I was always sick, really bad fevers. There's not a single baby picture at Christmas where I'm not sick. It that never really got better. I still get very sick during Christmas time. I just learned how to deal with it. um, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. I wanted to record this, kind of get my story out there. I'm not even sure anyone will listen to this. It's my recorded biography, or recorded audio biography, I guess you would say. I wanted to tell people because this is my testimony. I want people to hear this, just to listen and think that if a girl who's broken 14, I've hurt myself very badly 14 times, and I will tell you all of that. But if a girl who's hurt herself that many times, plus almost did die, and is just always sick, if she can make it, if God can give her the power to make it at least to a college graduate, and who knows where else I'm gonna go from here, then imagine what he can do for you, someone who's healthy, someone with more money, someone who doesn't have to worry about what they eat or if they're gonna hurt themselves if they go do something. Just imagine what you can go do. I don't want you to hear this story and pity me. I want you to hear this story and be inspired to go try, be inspired to go do. I just want to inspire somebody. I'm gonna stop for now. I'll probably post the rest starting from, the years will probably go up until 6. I don't have a perfect memory. I can't remember everything that's happened. But I'll start from there. Bye-bye.